Hi everyone, it's Terry here from nutsaboutsstamping.com. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create a masculine card idea with the help of my Big Shot and the brand new, soon-to-be released Sailing Home Cling Stamp Set. This stamp set is going to be in the 2019-2020 Stampin' Up annual catalog, but because I attended one of Stampin' Up's events recently, I got this stamp set for free. Yay! So I thought I would create a card using it, just so that you can see some of the possibilities. My card base is going to be Whisper White. I've cut it 8.5 by 5.5. I've scored it at the 4 1/4 mark, and that's going to be my card base. And then to that, I'm going to add a piece of Needlepoint Nook Designer Series paper. I love the side that has the sort of cross stitching on it. It sort of gives me a nautical sense. So I've cut this so that it's going to completely cover the front of my card so that you can't even really tell that it's a Whisper White card base. Now the next thing I'm going to do is bring in a piece of watercolor paper. Now I don't use watercolor paper that much, which is a shame because there are so many really super cool techniques that you can do with watercolor paper. I also have one of my Aqua painters, and I'm going to create a background wash using the Balmy Blue marker. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just rub my Aqua painter right onto the brush end of my marker, and I am going to, maybe I'll just do this, and then I will squeeze some water out, and I will just rub. There we go. So I just sort of want a light, swishy kind of background to this watercolor paper. I'm going to set that aside to dry for a few minutes, and we're going to do some other elements, and then I'll bring that watercolor paper back in and we'll finish off the card. Now I've got the lighthouse from the Sailing Home stamp set, and I'm going to ink it in Night of Navy, and I'm going to stamp it down on this piece of Whisper White cardstock, like so. I think that's just a really pretty image, don't you? All right, and then while I have my Night of Navy stamp set ready to go, I have a piece of Balmy Blue cardstock, and I have the phrase that says, "Let hope be your anchor through the storms of life." So I'm going to ink that up using Night of Navy, stamp it down on the Balmy Blue, and then I have my Everyday Label punch, and I am going to punch it out, like so. All right, now, one more thing I'm going to do is I want to stamp and die cut I guess it's the Compass Rose out of this stamp set. So I'll get set up ready to do that, and then we'll be ready to finish off the card. I have everything ready to go. I'm going to use soft suede, and maybe if this ink pad will open, there we go. It's brand new, so it's quite tight. And I'm going to ink up the Compass Rose, and I'm going to stamp it down onto a scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock. And I'm going to set that soft suede ink pad aside for just a minute, and I'm going to die cut out this stamped image. So I have my magnetic platform, my bottom standard cutting pad, I have the Compass Rose stamped, and I'm going to use one of the Stitched Shapes framelits to die cut this out, because again, it has sort of a nautical feel to me. So I'll run that through the Big Shot. my paper snips here. And I'll just poke out a couple of these leftover bits that didn't die cut out cleanly. All right, I have several of the pieces ready to go. After I finished die cutting out, I stopped the video for a second, and what I decided I was going to do would be to cut out the lighthouse because I want to lay it onto the watercolor paper. But before I do that, I'm going to bring in the knot. There's this rope image, and I have a scrap piece of grid paper, and I'm just going to stamp off, and then I'm going to stamp on so that the rope image is quite light. I didn't want it really dark on my watercolor paper because I want the attention to be drawn to the lighthouse. All right, so let's finish off the card now. I have this watercolor paper, and I'm going to use my snail adhesive. And I've got a piece of leftover Wood Textures Designer Series paper, and I thought it would be nice to pull sort of the wood element and the wood colors together. And then I'm going to put on the lighthouse next. So I'll use some snail to do that. Like so. And then I am going to, just trying to figure out, I think what I'll do is I will tuck this compass rose so that you can see the wood, the sort of the rope behind it, like so. And then I'm going to adhere this next onto my card front. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to do, or one of the last things I'm going to do, is to bring in some Stampin' Dimensionals, and I'm going to put a Stampin' Dimensional on either side of my punched phrase, and I'm going to pop that up. So I'm actually creating a bunch of layers. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add an embellishment. I have some linen thread, and I'm not going, oh, and I have one more thing I want to do. Sorry about that. I want to add this little strip of leftover soft suede. Let's just tuck that under my phrase. Just got caught a little bit. Again, this is a way to pull everything together, all the colors together. Okay, like so. Now, when I stop the video, I'm going to add some linen thread. I won't take the time to make a knot and attach it, but I'll attach it with a mini glue dot. And then what I'll do is over on my blog, I'll have a final photo of this card, and I'll have a list of all the supplies and the measurements for all of the layers, as well as a link to my online store. This stamp set will be available on June 4th, 2019, and it'll be in the next annual catalog, so it'll be available for a year. So you'll have lots of time to craft lots of amazing masculine cards using this set. I'm Terry. I am nuts about stamping. I hope you create something beautiful today too. Bye for now.